Hi everyone, it's Dr. Jen Kordonsky from another corner of the Optimal Spine Chiropractic office, and tonight we're going to talk about what we feed our brains. I'd like to start with sharing a quote, not directly, I'm not going to get it exactly right, but from what I understand, Mother Teresa was asked at one point whether or not she would participate in an anti-war rally. And she declined, and she said that the reason was, she said that if you have a pro-peace rally, then I'll be there. But she didn't want to attend an anti-war rally. Another quote that I'd like to share with you, a favorite of mine, I have it hanging on the wall in the office, is from Albert Einstein. And what he said is that we can't solve the current problems with the same level of thinking that created the problems. So what these very wise and influential people understood was that what we focus on, we create more of. What we think about creates our life. What we have in mind is going to generate the outcome. And that's why Mother Teresa didn't want to focus on fighting war, being against war, because then what are you focusing on? War. And if what you focus on grows, then you're going to end up getting more of what you don't want. Right now, always, our global approach to health is a very focused on disease, death, what causes disease, what causes symptoms, what creates ill health or lack of health. And that is what our global healthcare system is focused on. And what they're focused on is what they're going to be creating more of, right? Now, certainly there's value in studying the causes of disease, and there's value in understanding what's happening when a person is sick, and there's value in finding ways to help a person feel better and to recover. However, that model is for understanding, it's for learning, it's for science. It fails us when it's for health care. What we should be focused on is what makes us healthy, what makes us stronger and more resistant to disease, what has allowed human beings to evolve and not just survive but thrive to the point of global domination as a species. What has allowed us, what makes us so strong and resilient? Let's focus on that and build more of that. Let's focus on health and build more health. So an example that we're using the same level of thinking to try to solve the problems, which is not going to get us any new results, is the fact that we have antibiotic resistance. We know this is a big problem. And what we're doing to try to overcome antibiotic resistance is develop stronger and stronger antibiotics. Doesn't this seem foolish? What are the bacteria going to do? They're going to develop resistance to the stronger antibiotics. And we've seen it happen, and yet we keep trying for the same solution. We can't solve antibiotic resistance with more antibiotics, and we can't stop or prevent a pandemic with more medications, more vaccinations, more treatments for disease. It's important, and we have to put our attention there. But we have to look for what's going to make us stronger. Why are we not studying more and putting more emphasis on what's allowing people to recover? There's more people recovering from this illness than there are people who are getting sick and dying. So let's put more attention on what makes these people healthy and well. What makes it that people are asymptomatic when they can test positive. So that's where I would like to see more attention, because again, where we put our attention, we get more results. Where we put our focus, whatever we put our focus on grows. Now, chiropractic has always focused on what is right with your body. We talk about innate intelligence, the intelligence that is within your body, within your cells, not in your educated mind, but within your body. You have an innate intelligence that formed you out of two cells. It grew you from this microscopic little organism to the adult that you are today. It heals you and repairs you and runs you on a daily basis. You couldn't possibly keep track of all that's going on in your body with your educated mind. The most experienced, the most knowledgeable researchers and scientists and medical doctors do not fully understand how the human immune system works. We don't know everything about how the body works, but your body knows. Your innate intelligence knows. And chiropractic has always focused on what is right about the human body, what builds health. We get adjusted and we teach and we coach and we get coached about how to build health and how to improve and remove interference to the body working as it was designed. There's a misplaced understanding about chiropractic in most of the world that it's a treatment for different conditions or symptoms. And while we certainly change the way people feel, that's never been what chiropractic truly is about. It's about allowing the individual to express their health and potential to the best of their ability. So let's focus on health and we'll grow health. So if this is all making sense to you, let me put it this way. Let's look at if we have thoughts and our feelings. So maybe some of you are still on the fence about, if what we focus on creates our existence. Your thoughts and your feelings are going to influence your actions. Maybe even influence your lack of action. But your thoughts and your feelings lead to actions. Actions that you take or don't take create results in your life. The results that you experience in your life end up becoming your life, right? So your thoughts ultimately will create your life. So we're going to want to think about what kind of thoughts we're having, right? The human brain is really an amazing thing that we can think about what we're thinking about. But a lot of very wise people have understood this concept. Many books have been written on it. You may have even delved into maybe using affirmations or meditation or reading things to try to think more positively and have an impact on your quality of life. But let's ask ourselves and think about, where do the thoughts come from? And if we've ever tried, and controlling your thoughts is a very challenging thing, and only a few of us are going to be successful for more than a very short interval, right? It takes a lot of focused attention to control your thoughts, and it's okay. You're not meant to be able to control your thoughts. But where do they come from? What generates them? Well, it comes from what you feed your brain, what your environment is feeding your brain, what's going in, right? The input creates the output. And if what we're putting in is negative, if what we're putting in is stressful, if what we're putting in is fearful, scary, or let's just face it, dumb and unproductive and salacious and unnecessary, then guess what? We're feeding our brain junk food. And guess what happens when we feed our brain junk food? It's going to generate junk thoughts, right? And so you can try to force thought control and holding a positive thought, but you're feeding your brain negative junk all the time. That's what it's going to generate most of the time. So let's think about, so what you feed your brain comes from the environment that you're in. So what's the environment that you're in? It's the people you hang out with. It's the people that you engage with in social media. It's the things that you read. It's the things that you watch. It's what you listen to. It's the conversations that you engage in. It's all of this and more. So the environment is broad, but a lot of it comes to us, and some of it we seek out. Let's talk about what we seek out and why we're all guilty of seeking out and being attracted to things that aren't necessarily healthy for us. Your brain, you are hardwired for survival. You come from a long line of ancestors who survived, right? And your brain is especially hardwired for survival in a way that makes it hypervigilant, on the lookout constantly for danger. Things that could hurt you or harm you or affect your ability to survive, your brain is on the lookout for. So, and it's also attracted to those things. It's going to be drawn to those things. So is it any wonder that when we see a headline We see something that is fearful, is salacious, is negative, is scary, you're drawn to it. It's not you, you're not a bad person. Think about, I'm sure you've been driving down 95 at one point and hit traffic and wondered, what the heck is going on? This isn't, an appropriate time for traffic. And then you realize that you are stuck in all of this traffic because there's been an accident. But that accident was cleared off the side of the road long ago. What's happening? Why is there still traffic? You know what's happening. Everyone, as they pass, is turning to look and see what happened. Not because they want to see something horrible or scary, but because we're drawn to it. Our brain needs to know, needs to see what the danger is. And as much as it infuriates you that this is what's happening, this is what's slowing you down, and that's why you're stuck in traffic, what happens when you get your turn to pass by? You know you have to look. We all do it. So it's not our faults, but we are drawn to the negative, to the frightening. And guess who knows this? Guess who knows it better than you do? All of the media outlets, the entertainment outlets. They know what gets you to pay attention, and they are in an all-out battle for your attention because your attention is their income, is their livelihood. So I say it all the time, but the news is not an accurate representation of what's going on in the world. The news is a product that they are selling you, and the more frightening it is, the more disturbing it is, then the more it's going to sell. And sadly, because of this hard wiring for survival, we are very apt to ignore or not pay so much attention to the beautiful, the positive, the wonderful. To prove this to you, the example is, have you ever been driving down 95 and there's just a beautiful, spectacular sunset? And is traffic slowed down at all? You might notice it, but did it make you slow down? No. Traffic is whizzing on by. Probably most people aren't even noticing that it's going on. So the entertainment, the media, they know this and they're using it against you. Unfortunately, it's causing you to be feeding your brain with lots of junk food. We're filling our heads, and even when we're reaching for entertainment, we're tending to reach for things that are socially disturbing or salacious in some way, and not necessarily uplifting, inspiring, educational, motivational. So all of this that we're consuming, we're feeding our brain junk food. And guess what? When you feed your body junk food, it starts to feel bad. When you feed your brain junk food, you get stressed, fearful, depressed, anxious, and we're all experiencing this right now. I am completely guilty of opening my email and seeing those headlines and being drawn in to, oh my gosh, and clicking and consuming this information when I know that it's junk food for my brain and it's not going to help me be more productive. It's not going to help me be more healthy. And in fact, when our brain is consuming this diet of junk food and we're getting stressed and fearful and depressed, what is that doing to your immune system? It's breaking it down and weakening it. It's lowering its ability to defend you. And I'm concerned, genuinely concerned, that this exposure to the news and the media is actually far more dangerous than exposure to the virus itself, because it's lowering your resistance. It's making you weaker and less productive, and it's pretty impactful. So if you're like me, you don't want to just get through this. You don't want to just survive. If you have health and you want to stay healthy, yeah, that's great, but you probably would really like more out of life. You want to keep growing your health and growing your relationships and growing your finances. Very few humans actually desire to just stay okay or gradually deteriorate with time, right? Our instinct is that we want to get more out of life and we want to thrive. So we have to take steps to feed our brain the right diet so that we can continue to grow. right? So the first thing we need to do is really pay attention, notice what we're feeding it, and set up some boundaries, set some safety up for yourself. Times when you're allowed to check in, things that you're allowed to consume, right? When it's, I know many people will say, well, I need to stay informed. We can stay informed without being consumed and inundated. And like I said, we have to be aware of the fact that they're selling you this information. Better off going and selecting, choosing the information that you would like to consume to be informed in a small amount of time, and then take that extra time that you don't even realize. You spend a few minutes here and there checking in, noticing this headline, getting on social media. It takes you, every time you get a 1-minute distraction, it takes you 23 minutes to refocus on your work or what productive thing that you were trying to do. And if it was negative or junk food for your brain, then not only are you going to be off focus, but now you're going to be taken into a negative or anxious or stressful place. Your brain doesn't work well in that place, your body doesn't work well in that place. So, for being informed, we can set up much more concise times and places where we're selecting the information that we receive. And as far as entertainment goes, does knowing what the Real Housewives are doing or what the Tiger King is up to, is that actually making you a happier, healthier person? We're drawn to this junk, but it's because it's socially, we're fearful of social consequences too, right? Survival for the human was also about being accepted in the tribe, and scandal and things like that are socially frightening to us, and so we're drawn to that as well. So first thing is that we need to be aware, be conscious, set up parameters for when we're going to consume the junk food and what kind of junk food we're going to consume. And then next thing is add good. And unfortunately, because of our design of our brain, that we're going to reach for and grab onto that negative information, we have to pour in the positive 10 times as much as the negative. So we have to outweigh the bad with the good and adding good. So we can take the time that we would have lost, reading junk on the internet, and we can translate that into time for exercise, time for meditation, time for reading or listening to something that is either going to build your health, build your finances, build your skills, education, inspiration, hope. We need to look for sources of these things. What are the things that you want to achieve in life? What areas of your life would you like to see grow? Well, then consume information that's related to that. What you focus on grows. So you have to choose that wisely, and it has to be consistent and constant, or it's not going to overwhelm the amount of negative things. You have to have a way off kilter, 10 times as much good stuff as negative stuff. And number 3, I mentioned it a little bit in the coping with stress class, but I'm going to say it again. You need to take charge of your morning. The way you start your day is the way you're going to end your day. You start with intentional focus, adding the good stuff in the morning. We talked about the GAS, Gratitude Action Service. I'm going to make a little short video to just review that, because I think that's a really powerful tool, a really great way to start your morning with the good stuff. But find what works for you. But that morning, harness the morning, because the way you start something is the way it tends to go on. And I'd really love to hear from everyone. Maybe post in the comments how you are. And I see somebody posted Headspace. I love that app. That's great. What are some of the tools? What are the tricks? What do you do to feed your brain? Not the junk food, but the things that you want to grow. Because I can't say it enough. Where we put our focus, that's where we get results. What we want more of, we have to pay more attention to. And I look forward to reading all the comments, so go ahead and share something that you're doing that's working for you. And we are now going to be uploading these workshops to YouTube, so you could look for us, Optimal Spine Chiropractic, on YouTube, and I look forward to seeing you all happy and healthy soon.